Building in public is the only way to build a startup in 2024. Is it really? Let's have a look together. Hi there, my name is Stefan. I'm the co-founder, and I want to talk to you about building in public versus building in private. My experience on the topic: I've built multiple VC-funded businesses from 2015 to 2020, and I'm now bootstrapping a SaaS HoldCo in public. If we treat the whole thing as a spectrum, looking at building in private on the left and building in public on the right, we have pros and cons to each. Pros for building in private: saving time and focusing on your startup. First mover advantage. So once you hit the market, you might be the first. You don't have copycats because nobody can see what you're doing. And on the other hand, building in public, while you build your product, you can build an audience and you can build a moat around your audience. You can get feedback. You can build motivation, especially on Twitter. People are very happy to give feedback and motivate other founders that are building in public. Now the cons. If you're building in private, you can't build any buzz up front. You're not getting any feedback from the market, and it can be hard to stay motivated. The cons of building in public are that it takes time and effort to create content and to engage, especially in the beginning. It can be distracting. Every minute spent on Twitter is a minute you can't work on your company, and it can lead to shiny object syndrome. Seeing what everyone else is building, that might just be distracting you from what you need to do yourself. However, building in private and building in public are not necessarily all the options that exist. For example, you could set up a landing page, kind of just tease what you're building and continue to build in private. Or you could just talk about what you're doing, and you don't necessarily have to give information on the why behind what you're doing. This makes it harder to copy you. Basically, just focusing on information and getting the product in front of people. Now you're probably asking yourself, what should you do? Instead of telling you what to do, I'm just going to give you a couple key decision levers that you can look at yourself to make a decision. The first one: experience. So how much experience do you have building things? It's much easier for a serial entrepreneur to build in private because they know a lot of the pitfalls that other people, usually first timers, are facing. And a lot of the pros of building in public, like getting your product in front of people, getting feedback, they probably have other processes of getting that. I think the main advantage of building in public is basically to get your product in front of potential customers. And that's what you should focus on. But then building in public is not the only way to do that, right? So how much time do you have? Building in public could take a lot of time, not necessarily producing your content, as that is a byproduct of the work you're doing anyway, but engaging and building an audience and maximizing your ROI on the platform. Audience overlap. So how big is the overlap between your audience that you're building out, the people you're showing what you're building, and your target customer? Longevity. How long do you plan on benefiting from this? You can take your personal brand, apply it to the next project and the project after that, or you might just discard the whole thing after 3 months. Those 4 questions I would ask myself and then come up with an answer. You might be wondering what I'm doing, so I answered those 4 questions for you, and I'm going to give you my reasoning to why I built in public today. Experience. I do have experience, around 10 years, but only 2 in bootstrapping. Bootstrapping has a lot to do with being capital efficient, which building in public is a way to attract attention in a quite capital efficient way. And when I started building in public, I only had less than 1 year of experience in bootstrapping. That being said, my experience is also mostly technical. It was an easy way for me to get into marketing and get in front of some people. Time. I have a lot of time, which allows me to budget some of that time towards building an audience. If you only have a couple hours, that might be hard. Audience overlap. We actually don't have that much overlap for our products. I would say it's only low to medium overlap. However, in the long term, we're planning to build a SaaS holding company. This is a great way for us to show expertise and get closer to founders to maybe then in the end get closer to deals that might be interesting for us. So I'm doing this as a kind of side bet for this long-term threat. Longevity. I plan on continuing to do this for a long time, which means I can benefit a lot. Also, as a holding company, we're creating multiple products. So we're going to be launching new products all the time. And it's a great way to get early feedback. In conclusion, as always, I would recommend to do what's right for you. Use the 4 questions that I gave you to make a decision. The interesting thing here with building in private or building in public is not necessarily centered around that you have to show people what you're doing. I think you can very well survive without doing that. It'll be less time consuming, and there's plenty of examples where entrepreneurs have done this successfully. I think the people that benefit the most from building in public are people that are struggling to talk to people about what they're doing, struggling to have customer interviews, basically struggling to market their company any other way. And this can be a great starting point. However, never forget that this is only one channel and it can't be all your marketing strategy. And in the end, it's not mutually exclusive. I think the best way to build in public is probably to be very deliberate, both with how much time you spend on the platform. Make sure you time box it accurately. I see a lot of people that are way too much on Twitter. spending too much time. And never forget that it's not your main work, although I know it feels good. That's all I have to say for today. I'm gonna make more videos like this, so feel free to subscribe down below or follow the journey on Twitter if you aren't already. And I will see you next time. Cheers.